So welcome to everybody in the track 1, room 1 for adoption and governance. Our next session is from Outlook to Teams, how to reinvent the way we work. Our presenter will be Patrick, or Patrick.
As you want.
I try my best. So stage is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm very happy to be there and to join this great event. Maybe to start, a few words about me. My name is Patrick Guimonet. I am mostly based in France, near Paris, Versailles. My job on a day-to-day basis is to be enterprise solution architect, and I help my customer to take the real value of all the beautiful tools we have in Office 365 and Microsoft 365 tool suite. I love to organize and to be speaker at such a big international event. I have created the iOS community where we share with a lot of speakers and organizers some best practice and some cool information of what is the next event to be and to help other organize. You can follow me on Twitter or LinkedIn, for example. And I have been awarded Microsoft MVP and Microsoft Regional Director. So I have been there since more than 10 years, I would say. First question I would like to ask to all the attendees, and you can put the answer in the chat, for example. I have a look on it. I would like to get a feeling of how many of you are coming from the IT and how many of you are coming from the business part of the organization or of the company you are working on. Why? Because this is, I think, probably the most important thing to know about the success in Office 365. So I already see a lot of IT, some business user. That's cool. A good mix between IT and business. I love that. I think it's very fundamental to understand that to be successful in such a type of project with Microsoft 365, with Teams, with SharePoint, you absolutely need to create a discussion between IT and business. If business is trying to implement things on his own side, it can be challenging on some very technical point. And if the IT is doing the work, is trying to do the work on his own side, it will probably miss the business goal and the business result. So it's very important. Definitely my most important advice I give on any session I do, create this discussion. It's not always easy. And as a consultant, we sometimes have to create this discussion between IT and business, but this is definitely a key factor of success in this area. Okay, so let's go to the session. Session is about how to go to Outlook to Teams, from Outlook to Teams. We might think that the way to modify our way to work is probably to have an Outlook open on your desk and a Teams open as well. So the way seems to be quite cool and very direct, but from many places I have seen that I would say that it's more a way like that. So it's definitely not an evidence for anybody to know how to organize itself in Outlook, to start from Outlook. Teams is a very new tool for many people, and it's not. There is no easy or obvious way to organize my way of working in these second tools. So one first question is: should I keep both tools? Should I work with one or the other? Should I leave completely Outlook to go to Teams? These are the type of question we will try to give you some idea. Big picture about Microsoft 365. As you know, Office 365 is a set of services in the cloud, in Microsoft Cloud, and it provides a great set of capabilities around collaboration, around communication, and things like that. But Microsoft 365 go beyond the cloud because it embed, as you probably know, Windows 10 license, for example, and as well some tools to manage mobile device. With all these tools, we can identify probably 5 major way of working with Office 365. So with Office 365 and Microsoft 365, you get a great way to manage your personal productivity. You also have great tools to manage your document and your knowledge in the cloud. You also have great communication and collaboration tools. And last but not least, business process. So you can digitalize, obviously, many, if not all, of your business process. In this session, I will mostly focus on communication and collaboration. In English, the word have a very similar sounding. So if we don't take a few seconds to think about it, we sometimes miss the difference between communication and collaboration. I love these small icons because communication is really a way to send a message with mostly a one direction way to communicate, where collaboration is more an exchange, a construction between several people together, working together. And it's very important to understand the difference between Teams and Outlook to think about what type of tools or feature I need to communicate and what type of feature or tools I need to collaborate. Because we will see that Outlook is mostly, to my mind, a communication tool, whereas Teams can be used as a communication and a collaboration tool as well. So this is the very big picture, and if we put a map of what tools are used for which type of usage, we can, I love to present that to my customer. Obviously, we have 3 levels inside Office 365 and Microsoft 365. Depending of the tools are targeting me as a user, we as a group of user in the company, or us as a whole company, whole organization. If we think about personal productivity, we have some tools like to manage your task or calendar. You have obviously SharePoint and OneDrive to manage your document, and more and more you have additional capabilities around knowledge management like your Microsoft List and Project Cortex. Around communication, we have the most important, very first communication tool is Outlook, of course, and this is one of the topics of this discussion. And if we think about how to communicate to a group of people, of course, you can send email to a group of people, but definitely Teams is better is a better tool to do that. In terms of communication to the whole company, we can think about SharePoint, because in SharePoint you can, for example, create communication site or Yammer or a stream to communicate using the video. In collaboration, if we think collaboration, we should think about the Office traditional tools. So it's a little bit tricky to say it's a collaboration tool for me, but that's really what it is. That's tools I can use to create some documents, for example, that will be used for my group of people. So Office is that, and Teams will be a very, very great tools. Is definitely the tools in Office 365 and Microsoft 365 suite to manage and to create collaboration for a group of people. It can be complemented by a planner and a whiteboard, for example. And regarding business process, we have all the Power Platform stuff, obviously. So we will focus on this session around communication, around Teams, around and Teams versus Outlook. And we will see that in terms of collaboration, Teams is definitely a tool without any other option. So another question I can ask, and you can answer me in the chat, is for how many years have you been using an email system? If we think about that, it can be challenging because for most of us, it's more than tens of years. So I see 25. Yes, many of you are using emails for more than 25 years. And definitely, that's a tool we use for many, many years right now. So it can be sometimes challenging to have just a quick think about how I organize myself. We have a lot of habit in this area. We have a lot of way to do, but sometimes we need to focus on a little bit on how we organize and how we can improve probably our productivity in our email system. To give you some insight, electronic email was invented in 1971. So it's more than 50, it's about 50 years right now. Next year, it will be exactly 50 years from now. And Outlook has been invented for more than 20 years. So that's very, very old tool and very used by so many years for us. The question is, do you master your email, or is it your email that is mastering you? I love this picture from a TV reportage speaking about mail addict. A lot of people are definitely mail addict because they want to be always connected. They want to be always sending and receiving email, and it's like a very addictive way to work. I love as well this picture because just the year before Teams was introduced by Microsoft, I had to manage an event, and like this one. And at the end of the event, I had a look on my mailbox dedicated to all the email I had exchanged to my colleagues, to my speaker, to my co-organizer, and I have sent and received more than 30,000 emails. So that's a lot of crazy thing we can see with a full email culture. Obviously, I know nowadays when I organize events, I much prefer using Teams for that, and I will explain why. But I want to give you some insights. As I said, Outlook is a very personal tool. So it's very hard to say in any organization, you should organize your inbox this way and things like that. So I don't want to do that. What I can do, I can show you how I organize my inbox. So this is just to give you some idea. Not to say this is the best organization for everybody on the planet. Not at all. This is not my message here. But for my personal use, I think I have really well managed the flow of email I receive, and I can promise I receive many emails a day. So my first advice, and this is how I work, is to split your inbox in several parts. In fact, in this screenshot, you can see that I have separated here in four ways. The first one is top, starting from the bottom to the top. The first one is inbox for invites. So you receive a lot of meeting requests and meeting answer to meeting requests. So all these emails are put in this special part of my inbox. And probably it's not very urgent to have a look on it. So I can have a look on this part of my inbox probably once a day, or even sometimes one day, 1 or 2-3 days. It's really not very urgent usually. Inbox CC, you can create a rule to put all the message you are in copied and not in a destination. Because if you are just receiving an email and you are in copy of this email, it means that probably, once again, this is not urgent or not very important that you read this email. I have also created, so this is a third one, starting from the bottom, and special inbox for all email coming from my own company. Abalone is my company. And so every email coming from same address, same domain name are put in this mailbox. Probably this is because I don't want to mix this type of email with, for example, email from my customers. So that's a great way to distinguish between external email and internal emails. And nowadays, we are more and more using Teams, really almost never sending internal email anymore. So this part of my inbox is very low and is keeping lower and lower every day. And so the last part of my inbox that is remaining is the most important email. But as I have removed all bad stuff or not urgent stuff or not important stuff, I have a very small number of email in my inbox remaining in my inbox, and so that's cool because you think you have the real feeling that you are overloaded by email, and I think it's very important nowadays not to be overloaded by all the email we can receive. So this is how I organize my inbox, and is very inspired by Scott Anselman, who is probably, some of you probably know. Scott Anselman is a Microsoft VP in charge of development, in the dev part of Microsoft. And he made a very interesting blog post about how he organized his Outlook inbox with very similar rules. You can have a look on it if you want to dig on this. So this is my important point here is that rules in Outlook will help you to stay in touch with your email. Second point in Outlook is to use categorize, and I would highly recommend to use categorize to be able to distinguish between email from different type of email, and especially if you want to have some action or stuff, or if you want to remember some email from the other. So this is the last point is do not stay connected permanently, and I would highly recommend as well to probably define some time in your day when you should have a look on your email box, on your mailbox, because if you are always waiting for mail coming and things like that, it can be really challenging and disturbing for your mental health, I would say. But if we think about it a little bit more about how inbox is organized, it's a single channel communication. Everything is coming to your inbox, even if you can, as we have seen, manage some rules to get some different part of your inbox, but definitely documents are mixed with message, and message of all sorts are coming in the same place. What is also challenging is that everybody has a personal inbox and it's not the same. So you don't have the same view as your colleague, for example, working on the same project. Even if you are working on the same project, your inbox might look very different. And that can be a problem at some point. Teams is very different and is organized. And I think it's probably the very most important feature in Teams is that when you go to the Teams part of Teams, you have channel, and channel are the very good way to create some discussion, some sort in your all the message you send and you receive. So by the construction of the tool, people go to a channel and then they put the message in the correct channel they want. They think it's a correct way to communicate. So if they want to speak finance, they will go to the channel finance. If they want to speak promotion, they will go to the promotion channel. And so every message will be automatically sorted in by the subject or by the big discussion it concerns. That's very important, and that's very different from what we see in email system. So in fact, with Teams, we have a multi-channel tool, multi-channel collaboration. And what is very important as well is that everybody has the same view. If you go to a channel on a specific Teams about, for example, Project Mercury, you will see all the same message as your colleague, and you can go to the file tab and you will see all the same document and things like that. So this shared view on same project and same topics is very important and is very powerful feature for Teams. Another difference is standard email can be very long with a lot of details. In Teams, we can have very short message. You don't need to present yourself. You don't need to have all your information, how to connect to you and things like that, like your phone number and things like that. So a usual message in Teams is very much shorter, and so it's much more powerful to go to Teams. Another very important feature is mail with attachment compared to how we can put some comments with documents attached to documents in Teams. This is also a great difference between both tools. And if you think about it, when you send an email with attachment, in fact, you create copies of your documents, except if, obviously, if you send a cloud attachment or a link, and then the document is kept only in one place. So, to summarize, in Outlook, everything arrives in your inbox. You must define an order, some way of order. There is no shared vision on a project, for example. Another very crucial difficulties we can have with Outlook and with email is that it's very difficult to embark a new team member. And for example, a new guy coming on a new project, if there are many email exchange, for example, since 1 year or 2 on the project, it's very difficult to send him all the already sent email and then, hey, have a look on all these emails and you will understand where we are on the project. This is not really possible. So it will take time to embark the new people on a project and to explain them what they should know. By default, on inbox, in your inbox, you will get notification on all messages, and connected work is not possible. If you are in an email system, you send an email, but you really don't know if the other guy is available on the other side or not. And attachment, we have seen that create file duplicate. In Teams, as I said, we have many differences on these topics. So we have dedicated space per project or per team on Teams. We have a natural sort order created by the sender. We have one shared vision for message and docs and apps inserted in the channel, on every channel. One in Teams, when you enter a person in a channel or in a Teams, he can have a look on all the messages that have been sent on this topic. So there is really a shared message history. It's much more easier for new people to embark and to come on and say, oh, where are you on the project? On Teams, notifications are adjustable, so you can change the default, and you can decide, for example, to be just notified on several channels or several teams and not everything. You can directly notify people with the by using the notification, so that's very powerful as well. In Teams, and I love this idea, you can work either connected or either asynchronously. Both ways of working are possible. And sometimes, for example, it's very you have to work on a document and it's the evening, and you don't want to disturb your colleague. You can go to a channel and get the latest version of the PowerPoint, for example, or the Word document, and then you can work on it, and you are sure that when your colleague will connect again in the morning, they will get all the work you have done in the evening. This is an asynchronous way of working. But you can as well, if it's a normal time and you have a meeting with your colleague, you can open a document, for example, an Excel spreadsheet, and work all the team together on the same document at the same time. So that's a connected way of working. And I think it's very important to be able to do both to address all the usage. And obviously, files have their own place in a team space, and they are not duplicated, or they are not missed with the exchange or the message. So that's give us a very broad view of the difference between Teams and Outlook, and so this gives us a better way of what Teams provide to us and what Team. So if you explain this to some end user, they will better understand where they will be able to use Teams versus Outlook, for example. But will Teams solve everything? What is your opinion? Can you put some idea on the chat? Do you think Teams will solve every collaboration and communication problems we have seen with email? Definitely, I don't think so. But can you exchange on this? Can you give you some problems that Teams will not solve, for example, from your point of view, if you have some idea? I will try to argument and to give you some view, my point of view on this as well. If we think about Teams, it's presented by Microsoft as for teamwork, and definitely it's a great way to embark all the team on different with different tools on different space. So you create collaboration spaces that will allow you and your colleagues to communicate, to share some document, to share some message. And what is important, everything will be put in a single place. Microsoft Teams, what is it? It's as well, as I said, I think it's very important. It's a dual tool. It's a tool where you can use for communication, and you have great way to communicate, like chat, like calls, like video calls. This is all different way of communication. And I said at the beginning of my presentation that communication is mostly a way to send a message, whereas you have either another part of the tool which is more dedicated. So it's on the right side of this slide. The second part of Teams, which is more dedicated to collaboration. So it's a Teams part of Teams. If you go to the Teams part of Teams, you can create Teams, you can create a dedicated space for collaborating with your colleagues, and you will find as well files where you can find all the files we have worked on. So I think it's very important to educate your user on this on both sides of these tools. And if you use only the communication part of Teams, you will probably get still get some issues that we have with email, because email is a communication tool as well. So I would highly recommend to promote and to explain to end user the collaboration part and how it can improve the way people are sharing, the way people are working together in the security. So to summarize communication in Teams, I like this slide that shows we have, in fact, 3 ways of communication in Teams. We have chat, we have meeting, and we have live event. And for each, we have some limitation. So, for example, chat, we can do some text chat up to 250 people right now. But if you think about video chat, it's limited to 20 people. So you can think, if you are in this case, you can think about meetings. Meetings are right now limited to 300 people, which is quite good, very good. But for some usage or for some needs, you need to go to the upper level, which is live event. And live event right now is limited to, can go up to 10,000 people in the sending, if you want to send a message to 10,000 people. We have done a lot of online meetings like this one during the lockdown period, and since the COVID is no new way of work with the COVID. So I think it's very important to take into account this very short message about how we can improve our presence on video calls. So I will let you review this. But why all of this is not enough? This is probably because we don't want only to communicate. And the good way to see that is if you take a Teams and if you look at the analytics, if you see like here that nobody has done some posting, that's probably that they don't have understand yet how the Teams part of Teams can be useful and can be interesting in terms of collaboration. So really the team, and this is the key message to tell to your customer, to your end user, is the team is the really basis of collaboration in Teams. The benefits are clear. If you put some discussions, some files in a team, you didn't get a problem to know where to share information about this project, for example. The very powerful thing is that documents and message are stored in the same space, and you can find them all together, and you can comment on documents, so messages are directly attached to documents. And you can as well add some more application using the tab mechanism. Sorry for the title, which is still in French, but the idea is to put the focus on one very important thing about the Teams part of Teams, is that creating some channel, you create some discussion, some conversation. So when you are in a Teams space, in a Teams, once again, in the Teams part of Teams, you have the capabilities to create several conversations and not only one conversation. For example, with a colleague, you can have 10 simultaneous conversations on 10 different topics, which are, for example, 10 different channels. That's very important. you need as well to educate your end user to reply on each topic, which is option A, or to create, or sometimes they want to create a new conversation, option B. So they should be aware, because this is a very common problem or mistake we can see for new end user using Teams. An interesting thing is that you should, a best practice is to put a title in your message, because it will help your reader to understand if they need to read everything or is it concerned by the topics. And for some very important message, you should as well use the announcement option, and then we'll be able to put a graphical title with a photo, a big picture, or a colored title, which will give the idea that this is an important message. So these are three best practice: respond to conversation, title, put some title in new conversation, and for internal promotion, make announcement. A cool thing you should know, and you have it on the screenshot. You can create, you can add an announcement to a Teams meeting created in a channel. So you have to create the meeting in the channel, and after that you go to edit it, and then you can add an announcement part. If you have never tried it, I would recommend for some important meeting to add this announcement. It give a visual way to understand that's an important meeting. We have already mentioned that, but here it's detailed that working together on the same file can be very powerful in Teams. We have co-edition, we have the content, and then we have the attached comment on the right side. So it can be very powerful to comment directly with the view of the document on the same page. Chat or channel. Should I use a chat or a channel? I think I have mostly already mentioned that. In fact, you use a chat when you have a discussion, you want to connect specific people. It's very private in some way, so sometimes it's a good way to send a very private or very targeted message. But definitely, the history, it will not be a good choice to make it public or to make it visible to the entire team. So when you want to share some information in an open way in the group, for example, to keep your team in the loop, you definitely should use a conversation in channel. So by default, I would recommend to use conversation in channel, and if you have some very specific communication, private or sensible information, or non-business communication as well, you can use chat. Teams to do what? That's always a question I get from my customers is, okay, I understand it can be interesting, it can be useful to create some teams, but for what purpose should I do that? For which topics? Mostly what we see is that we have three different type of teams. We have organization teams. So for example, the teams for the marketing team or the commercial team, and they will exchange some discussion and some documents about how to do their work. Definitely, we have a second type, big category of teams, which are project teams, which are dedicated to a project. So this means that at some point, when the project is created, you should create the corresponding project team. It will go all the life of it will live all the life of the project, and at the end of the project you will probably have to either archive it or delete it. The third one is group of interests. So, for example, if you want to have some open discussion in your company about technical topic, technical products, for example, or for non-business project like all people doing some hiking in the company to create some discussion, some exchange, you can use a Teams for TeamSpace for that. In this area, Yammer can also be a good solution to create some group of interest. In project teams, we definitely have to have a look on internal project teams, and some of them may probably need to be open to external partners. So in terms of security, obviously, and of type of information and the way we communicate, this can be a little bit different. And last but not least, I would highly suggest to have a look or to create some process teams. And in fact, I found with several customers that a teams dedicated to a process can be a very effective way to communicate about the input and output of a process of processes, digital processes in the organization. Teams can be deeply enhanced by the strength of tabs. It can be customized with so many new or a very common application like Excel, for example. So every space in Teams can have more tab to add some capabilities or to put the stress on some very important information. So we can think about tab for a reference website, for example, for a planner to manage all the tasks of the teams. We can add a dashboard with Power BI. We can add here we have a sample of a team dedicated to a process. So we can see that, for example, we have tabs 1, tab 2, tab 3. In fact, each tab is one step of the process. Here we have a Power Apps app embedded directly into Teams. We have also an alert. We can have also an alerts channel in my process Teams. So every alert about these processes will go there. So no longer we need no longer to send email and things like that. And for example, we can generate some alerts with Power BI. And we can also have a channel with approvals, and approvals can be adaptive cards that ask some permission or some approbation for some creation, some stuff creation. We can integrate directly the intranet and many more apps as a direct application on the left bar of Teams. That's very powerful for some of the entry point in the internal space. So this was mostly what I wanted to communicate about Teams. But to finish this discussion, I want to stress the point on the link we have between Outlook and Teams. And to answer my question I have asked at the beginning, I think we will have to keep email, we will keep phone, and we will have Teams, so that can be a lot of tools. But that's two different ecosystems, and we have to work with both. Definitely in the 21st century, that's one of our challenge. But it can be interesting to think in what parts Teams and Outlook are similar or are coordinated. One example of synchronization, automatic synchronization, is the calendar. In fact, here I have my calendar in Outlook on the left, and on the right I have the exact same calendar on Teams, view on Teams. So it's interesting to know, you know that, and you have already seen that every meeting can be created in Teams or in Outlook, and it will be visible on both sides. So that's a first good way to connect both tools. We have another way to think about the bridge between Outlook and Teams, and one is how can I send email into Teams? In fact, it's a very common use case, and if I want to capture some email, for example, my customer is sending to me, and I want to have a discussion, an internal discussion about this external email, I can send it to a Teams. So it's very simple. You have probably seen that at some point. You have on any channel in Teams, you can get an email address. So you can copy it, and in Outlook, you can, for example, forward the external email received to this channel in Teams. And that's a very powerful connection between Teams and Outlook. This is a cool new feature. You can see on the screen how to share directly to Teams from Outlook. This is a feature that was announced a few times ago, but I didn't get it on my tenant for some reason, or on my Outlook, but I think it will come sooner or later. So this is a cool interactive video showing that the email can be sent to Teams, and it will be visible at some point in Teams. So the question, one of the last questions is it useful to send some information from Teams to Outlook, or is it only a one-way discussion? In fact, I think there is a very cool use case to use Teams to send email from Teams. In fact, is to transfer discussions from Teams to Teams. So you probably know that we don't have at this time a way to copy some discussion from a channel in Teams to another channel, but we can do that with the feature that allow us to send a message from Teams to a special mailbox. If this mailbox is a channel in Teams, it can be used to migrate some contents from one Teams channel to another. So if you use a feature in Teams which is shared to Outlook, you can transfer your document in another channel. So my recommendation is not to transfer a document from Teams to Outlook, but to use this feature to transfer from Teams to Outlook to an address which is in fact a channel in Teams, and then you are going from one space in Teams to another space in Teams. Conclusion. I love this picture about the iceberg, about what people currently use Teams for, especially during the COVID period. It was really a very exact way to see a thing, to see how people were using Teams, but more and more they are using more the collaboration feature, and I think it's the most important part, or the biggest part of Teams that can be very useful. Another way to think about collaboration in Teams is that the more you use the collaboration feature, the more you use the collaboration way of Teams, the more you will go to the way of transforming the way you work with Teams. And to finish, I want to point you on some cool training and support information. So this is the Teams hub on support.office.com, a sway where I put some resource I use. And thank you for your attention. I am open to a few questions if you have any questions that could arise on your head. And please rate my session, and feel free to give me some feedback as well, directly or by any means.